Jay here for Stretford, Paddock, and this is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm not outside Old Trafford, so I've not got my parker on. We're in the studio because we're doing a live show. We're doing a live Paper Talk this morning, so you can get involved in the comments, hit like, let us know what you think about all the latest Manchester United news. And if you've got any news for us, give us a heads up if you've heard anything. We always love to hear from you guys. You've got your fingers on the pulse, so we'll be getting into that as well. As you can see from the title and from the thumbnail as well, Amad Diallo, the youngster from Atalanta, the Ivorian, is set to complete his deal. It's more or less done. Basically, if you don't know the background to this story, United bought this lad, signed him in the summer with a view to bringing him in January. He stayed at Atlanta. Now Atalanta, even if you get it right, they wanted to keep him on loan until the end of the season. United have rejected that. United want him at Old Trafford this January. So what he's done now is he's flown to Rome to complete his paperwork because there's like work permit issues that have to be sorted out before he can start playing for the Reds. Exciting young player. He's only, like when I say he's a youngster, I think he's literally 18. Hasn't played a lot for Atalanta. I think he's played about four games, is it, in Serie A in total? And I think one in the Champions League it might be, if I look, yep. So he's not had a lot of game time, but when he has played, he's been exciting. He's one of those players that you think would excite the crowd at United when we've got a crowd inside Old Trafford, or just watching it on the telly. He's an exciting player, a winger who can operate as a forward as well. That sort of modern attacker, if you will. So United are keen to get that deal done. He's flown over to Rome to complete his paperwork, and he's expected to arrive at Old Trafford this week as a Manchester United player, as a work permit sorted, deal sorted, everything ready to go. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was speaking about this the other day, and he said, "We've had all the paperwork. I can't see any obstacles. He's coming. I hope very soon he will be with us. I'm very excited about him." Bringing him in, I think he's shown a few times his qualities. So yeah, a few times being the operative word there, because he's not played a lot of football, but when he has played and when he's played for Atalanta, he's looked very impressive and very dynamic, attacking, exciting player. And there's reports as well. There was some sort of rumours and reports and stories doing the rounds yesterday and over the weekend that Atalanta made this sort of last-ditch attempt to try and keep him, to try and get United to say, okay, listen, we'll keep him here, we'll give him loads of games. Let's let him stay with us till the end of the season. But that didn't happen. United were having none of it. We want him in, which is good because I think he could be a useful addition to the squad. And he posted a picture of himself with his bags packed yesterday, I think it was, on a flight to Rome. So that's where he'll go and get his work permit before flying over to Old Trafford or to Manchester to become a United player. So, let us know what you think. I mean, you can see the quote there about the fact that Romano himself, the man himself, Fabrizio, Mr. Here We Go, he said, it's confirmed Diallo set to join United in January, not in June, despite Atlanta trying to keep him on loan until the end of the season. So you can understand why they wanted to keep him. Obviously, exciting young talent. Probably would get more games for Atalanta than he will get for us. But United bought him for a reason, and that reason wasn't just long-term. Obviously, he's a long-term signing, but we want to see him playing sooner, you think, hopefully, sooner rather than later. Is he going to come in and play every game? Obviously not. I don't see that happening. You don't go from Atalanta's bench, no disrespect to them, to Manchester United's first team. But hopefully he can play a part. You can see that on the graphic there as well. The Atalanta manager, Gian Piero Gasperini, announced today in a press conference that they're working to keep Diallo on loan until June, but United want Amad to join the club immediately and not in June. And Diallo's priority is to join United right now. So they wanted to keep him. He didn't want to stay there. He wants to come to United. We want him. So it sounds like a bit of a no-brainer. And that's a deal that's moving through. Now, in terms of the fee, I know you might be looking at getting 37 million. I think there's a lot of add-ons in that. I think, it's very sort of similar in the setup and the structure to the Anthony Martial deal. You remember when Anthony Martial signed, and at first, remember the headlines? What a waste of money. Yeah, all right. Before he'd even kicked the ball for United, and the sort of the headlines were that he cost around 50 million. But when you scratch beneath the surface of that 50 million pound price tag, you remember, like the chant says, 50 million down the drain. Tony Marshall scores again. It wasn't like that. It was something along the lines of 30 million up front, another 5 million by the end of that season, and then add-ons and sort of incentives to the tune of if he wins the Ballon d'Or, if he wins the Champions League, if he wins the Premier League, which we may end up having to pay out on this season, fingers crossed, 21 is coming, then it goes up to 50 million. So, again, with Diallo, it's not a sort of straightforward 37 million quid up front. It's going to be structured, it's going to be incentives, it's going to be sort of half that as your basic, and then it goes up and up and up with appearances, with trophies, maybe, there can be all sorts of different stipulations in a contract. You can say it can be goals, it can be trophies, it can be if he gets caps for Ivory Coast, or if he chooses, I think he has actually played for Ivory Coast, is it? No, I'm not, I'm talking rubbish. He's from Ivory Coast, but if he gets international caps anyway, then that can trigger something in his contract where you end up paying him, having to pay more money out for him. So, I mean, add-ons are normal. 37 million, you look at it for an unproven 18-year-old or relatively unproven 18-year-old, it sounds excessive, but you have to remember a lot of it is incentive. And if actually, this is the sort of perverse thing about these sort of deals. If you end up paying 37 million quid, that's a good thing. That usually, if we end up paying 50 million pounds for Tony Marshall, that means he's won the lot. That means he's a Ballon d'Or winner. If we end up paying 37 million pounds for Amad Diallo, that's great, because that usually means he's fulfilled all the potential we wanted him to, because those will be the sort of things in the contracts. Not always the case. You remember when Manchester United tried to sign, we did sign Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but apparently one of the sticking points was United wanted to include, or wanted to pay part of the deal if he won the Champions League, and Crystal Palace were like, you're not even in the Champions League. What are you on about? Well, you're certainly not, looking to win it. I think at the time, actually, we weren't even in the Champions League. Crystal Palace were like, no, just give us a 50 million up front. We're not doing that. But this is slightly different. So, guys, get involved in the comments. Let us know if you know anything about this kid, because I've seen a couple of clips on YouTube, but I'm always reluctant to sort of go too much into YouTube clips, because, I remember looking at clips of Gabriel Obertan, and no disrespect to him, but I looked at YouTube clips and I thought he was one of the best players I'd ever seen in my life. Came to Old Trafford, I saw him in the flesh, and it was a different story. But let us know what you see. If you know much about this guy, if you're excited about this signing, what you think of it. Is that enough? I mean, we're going to get to other potential signings in a minute, but we're in a different situation now going into this January transfer window than many of us expected. Many of us thought we'd be going into January and we'd be sort of kicking around the top four, trying to get into the top four, maybe need a signing to bolster that. That would be the sort of levels. We've gone into the January window, in a title race. Now whether you can argue whether 21 is coming or not, and I know, a lot of people on this channel think it might be, but does that change it? Does that make you think, okay, maybe we need to go a bit bigger in this January transfer window than we initially thought, because one massive signing, or one, not just massive signing, but one big signing, one not massive but big, what does that mean? One signing, one really talented signing could push us towards a title. So it might change it a little bit, where the club might have been thinking, or Ollie might have been thinking, okay, I'm bringing in a couple of youngsters and, that's enough. Where he thinks, actually, we're in a title race now. Do we need to go big? Do we need to bring someone else in? So let us know what you think as well. I mean, some people getting involved in the comments, asking about, I think saying, will Diallo push Jesse Lingard out of the team? I think Jesse Lingard's already out of the team, regardless of who comes in. Guys, like I said, so you do get involved. Josh McCosh says, we need Alaba and Aarons could get us a title this season. Yep, we've spoken about it. Me and Joe were spoken about Max Aarons from Norwich on the live video the other day, because he's been on United's radar for some time. I mentioned earlier about Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And when we signed Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Max Aarons was seen as an alternative. And it was seen as an alternative. It was more or less seen as us sort of reminding Crystal Palace that we could pull out of the deal. It's like, oh, well, if you don't sell us in, when we're looking at Max Aarons as well, because obviously Max Aarons is a right back, we bought Aaron Wan-Bissaka, so the Max Aarons deal was sort of dead in the water. But it's popped up again, because there's a feeling that maybe Manchester United are looking at alternatives to Aaron Wan-Bissaka, not to necessarily replace him, but to give us a different option, because yes, we've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who's a very talented right back, but there's a feeling that if there was a competition for his place, perhaps, or if you were able to rest him, or if you were able to change tactics somehow, Max Aarons seems a bit more of an attacking type of fullback. I know that might sound a little crackers, because Aaron Wan-Bissaka had one of his better games going forward against Aston Villa, obviously got his assist as well. But there's a little bit of a thinking around that. And in terms of David Alaba, the latest that we heard on that was that Real Madrid were closing in on the deal for David Alaba. Obviously, again, he's the lad, young, not that young, he's 28, and that's young compared to me, but he's 28, he's at Bayern Munich, very talented footballer. Obviously, can play. I think he plays centre-back, left-back. He can, play in many positions. But, yeah, it would be a great signing for Manchester United. I'm not so sure that one's going to happen. I think he's going to end up going to Real Madrid. They seem to be in the pole position for his signature. And also, I think that if he was coming to United, we'd have heard a lot more about it, because that's the sort of deal that doesn't go under the radar. That sort of, is headline news everywhere. And it hasn't really been like that. Yes, we've been linked with him, but I think Manchester United get linked with any player that's available who's at a certain level. He's at a certain level, and if he came, that would be the type of signing you say, he's the type of kid that can come in and push you towards that title. But I just don't see it happening. I think we need to maybe temper our expectations a little bit when it comes to David Alaba. But Max Aarons is one potentially that could happen. Maybe not in January, although I know where you're coming from in your comments there, saying that, that could be the sort of signing that helps us in a title race this season. But we may have to wait until the summer. I can see that happening in the summer. Norwich are obviously flying high in the Championship. They're not going to want to lose him in January when they're trying to get promoted. Maybe we bring him in, or maybe we could even sign him in January, bring him in the summer, almost the reverse of what we've done with Diallo, who we bought in the summer, and we bring him in January. Maybe there's something else that could be done there. There's a lot of talk in the chat about Palestri as well. He's been spoken about as maybe coming into the first team soon. We've had David Pritt on here. I don't know if you watch the Academy review, and if you don't, then sort your head out and watch it, because David Pritt knows his stuff when it comes to the Academy and under 23s. He's also started looking at the loan moves as well, loanees who've gone out on loan. He was still at Manchester United, but have gone out on loan to clubs. We always go over them, and he's been raving about Palestri. He's been getting some good goals, been putting in some good performances for the under 23s and the academy team. And there's a feeling that he's not that far off the first team for Sunderland. Palestri. Maybe he might get a chance in the FA Cup, perhaps against Watford. So we'll have to wait and see. But he's been talking about and saying that he's good mates with a few of the players, especially Edinson Cavani, obviously both Uruguayan. And he says he's been looking out for him. So maybe we'll see Palestri coming into the first team soon. I wouldn't be against that. I think he's one of those players that you maybe need to bring in sort of gradually. I wouldn't be throwing him in and just saying, right, this isn't a Dan James situation where you go, right, you remember when Dan James came in, he was just like in the first team for the first, whatever it was, 10 games or whatever. I think it'd be slightly different. Obviously, Palestri's been here for a little while and has been sort of bringing it in gradually. He's not been sort of forced in yet. We played him in the academy under 23s, so we'll have to wait and see if he gets his chance this season. I think he'll get a chance this season. It may well be, like I said, in the FA Cup. Going to move on to the next story, looking at Moises Caicedo. Now, this is a young lad who he's from Independiente del Valle. He's 19 years old, very talented young Ecuadorian, and it's been reported, and it says there on the graphics. I know what you're thinking when you look at that. You go, Manchester Evening News. Well, we're just quoting, blogs now. We're just quoting graffiti off the wall that's been sort of sprayed on the wall near the office. But now and again, even a broken clock is right twice a day. The MEN sometimes do get things right, and also it is in other newspapers as well that Moises Caicedo is on the verge of joining Manchester United. I think it was Fabrizio Romano was talking about this as well. So obviously he's a lot more reliable than the MEN. Trying to finalise a deal for this youngster. Again, another one who's for the future. Exciting young player, midfielder. Shone in the Copa I think it was the under 20 Copa Libertadores. He's played, I think, is it 4 games for Ecuador or something like that, and he's done very well. Looks like he could be an exciting talent. And this fits in with the sort of policy that Manchester United are adopting of buying young talent, young players who are just about on the verge of breaking into first teams or becoming regular first teams at the top level. Not quite there yet, but almost. And the United's thinking is, rather than going out and spending 50, 60, 70, 80 million on players, let's try and bring in players for 20, 30, 35 million or whatever. Again, like I was saying to you earlier, I mean, the fee there, region of €6 million, which in today's sort of football economy, that's like a packet of crisps in it to most clubs. That's not, most Premier League clubs anyway, it's nothing. But again, that might have add-ons and stuff like that. So it looks like that could be happening, that deal. He's another one for the future. I keep saying this, one for the future, but it seems like we've gone for that policy. Do you remember in 2003 when we adopted this sort of policy under Fergie? Sort of, I think what Sir Alex Ferguson looked at, he looked at Chelsea, Abramovich had gone in at Chelsea, they had a load of money. Looked at some of the other clubs who were spending big, and the Scousers were spending a lot of money. Arsenal was spending sort of similar amounts of money to us. And he thought, okay, it was sort of changing of the old guard. There was some players that were sort of moving on. I think David Beckham, Juan Varane, players like that were sort of moving on. And then Roy Keane was getting on a bit. He still had a couple of years left in the tank, but Fergie was looking more long-term. So he started to bring in younger players. He started to sort of bring in, yes, he spent a lot of money on Wayne Rooney, but there were other players like David Bellion, like Kleberson, like Djemba, like Liam Miller, rest in peace. Those sort of players who were on the verge of being at the top level. And amongst all those players, because most of them didn't really work out, was a certain Cristiano Ronaldo, who was about 12 million quid, which, it was a bit of money, but it wasn't like ridiculous. And it was that new policy of, right, let's bring in these youngsters and see if any of them are any good. Hopefully they'll make the cut. And even though most of those didn't, the ones that did, certainly the one with Cristiano Ronaldo, turned out to be one of the greatest players in the history of association football. So it kind of works out. So it seems that is the new sort of, or the reverting to that sort of policy, bringing in the likes of Diallo, bringing in the likes, as it looks like, Moises Caicedo, Palestri as well. These younger players, these players that you're not going to bring in and throw straight into the first team. You're going to bring them in and then sort of either loan them out or give them a chance in the academy and the under-23s and bring them in gradually. And we probably won't see the best of them this season or maybe even next, but in 2 or 3 seasons' time, if we can all be that patient, which I know is a bit of an ask because we're football fans and I'm the worst one for it, we want immediate results or whatever, then we'll reap the benefits of that. So it seems like a bit of a change in policy, and it's maybe one that Manchester United needs to adapt because, listen, I'll slag off the Glazers all day long. You know my thoughts on the Glazers, and if you don't, I'll tell them I can't stand them. I think they're parasites and they're ruining the club. But we have to face facts. The Glazers aren't just going to keep spending the money. They'll keep taking it. They won't keep spending it, though. So we might have to sort of go with this idea of bringing in younger players who cost a little bit less if we can't always afford to bring in the sort of the 70, 60, whatever £1 million players that we would want to see come in for a title challenge. Someone in the chat, Nico, says Ji-Sung Park was among those players that I mentioned. Good point, that. Yeah, Ji-Sung Park was around that time as well. There was quite a few. There was a couple of years of it, wasn't there, where there was quite a few young players that came in around the sort of 2003, 2004 sort of time, and a lot of them were around the lower to middle range of prices. Okay, now and again you'd have a Rio Ferdinand or someone like that who was massive money, but there was a lot of youngsters that came in, and as I said earlier, 1 or 2 of them turned out to be gems, including Ji-Sung Park. He was a fantastic player, one of the most underrated players I've ever seen play for Manchester United, and helped us win the lot. So yeah, that seems to be the policy with Manchester United at the minute. Not completely, though, because we still do like to buy players for massive amounts of money, or at least get interested in players for lots of amounts of money. And one of those players is this lad you may have heard of called Jadon Sancho. Now, what would a paper talk or a transfer update or whatever you want to call it be without a Jadon Sancho story? So it appears that... listen, let me just explain this in case... If there's anyone here who's watching this for the first time, during the summer we were linked with Jadon Sancho. Almost every day there was a Jadon Sancho story. I know I was doing a lot of him, and it was like I was just repeating the news. I wasn't creating these stories. It was like Jadon Sancho's about to sign. Jadon Sancho wants to come to United. United want Jadon Sancho. Dortmund have named their price. Jadon Sancho move is imminent. Jadon Sancho will complete his deal this week. Jadon Sancho, his bags are packed. He's ready to go. Borussia Dortmund are resigned to the fact they're going to lose Jadon Sancho. Manchester United are making plans for Jadon Sancho. And it never happened. It never happened. And the short and long of it is, it never happened because Manchester United didn't meet the price that Borussia Dortmund wanted. Borussia Dortmund wanted around the £120 million mark. I think it was £120 million euros. Sorry, didn't happen. Manchester United didn't make that signing. So he stayed in. He stayed at Dortmund, and you can see now, Fabrizio Romano on his podcast, you see for the graphic, even though Jadon Sancho spelled wrong, and I will kill people later on for that, there are huge chances of Jadon Sancho leaving Dortmund next summer. The race will be open. At the moment, everything is quiet. He is focused on Dortmund, and he wants to be back on his top level. Now, he's not had the greatest season, Jadon Sancho, but he scored a goal the other day. So there's a feeling that there was a feeling, and I don't know whether this is just sort of United fans maybe convincing ourselves of this or whether it's true. You can make your own minds up. That Jadon Sancho was a bit miffed that he didn't get his move to United, and perhaps that had affected his performances. His head had been turned, he wasn't happy, and he wasn't performing to the levels he had done because of that. Now, for whatever reason, it didn't happen. But Romano was also just tweeted a minute ago, and he said, well, 16 minutes ago, if you want to be technical, Borussia Dortmund CEO Vodka just confirmed that Jadon Sancho was ready for the transfer to Manchester United this summer. Personal terms were agreed. See, it's a bit back to front, wasn't it? Because we agreed personal terms before we'd done the deal. To be clear, Jadon Sancho is not moving in January. The race will be on again next summer, and United is expected to be involved. And he's quote tweeted a comment by Hans-Joachim Watzke, the Borussia Dortmund CEO, who was speaking about Jadon Sancho and said subconsciously Jadon might have had prepared for a change. I think he had at least thought so much about it that he lost his ease, but I found him trying very hard for weeks. So it's sort of almost damning with false praise. I mean, no faint praise, whatever the saying is. He's sort of saying his head was turned, but he's still getting on with it. And maybe subconsciously that affected him, but now he's been trying very hard lately. So we'll have to wait and see. We're going to go again, aren't we, with Jadon Sancho in the summer? The only issue we've got is it's sort of there's pros and cons. One of the pros is that his price will go down because there's a year of his contract's gone. I think his contract was it 2023? I think it was still. So there's less time on his contract, but you might have someone like a Liverpool or a Chelsea join the fray, because we almost had a clear run at him in the last summer. That may not happen again. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it could be we get involved in a bidding war, but I hope not. Guys, also, if you're not doing so, like the video, because I've got 1,400 people watching and only 153 of you have liked the video. Come on, help me out. What's all that about? Appreciate it. And if you're not subscribing as well, subscribe to the channel. Got some good stuff coming up that you'll want to check out. So Jadon Sancho, we'll keep you posted on that one. It'll go again this summer, but I wouldn't be getting my hopes up that Manchester United are going to get him in January. It doesn't look like that's happening, and I think we'll have to wait. Also, a sort of another story that was doing the rounds this morning, if I can find it, was about one of Manchester United's loanees. I think I've lost me thing now, but United obviously have got quite a few players out on loan, and one of those players is the goalkeeper. I'm going to pronounce his name completely wrong. Matej Kovar. So sorry, Joe Fryer. Sucking rubbish, yeah. So you've got Joe Fryer and Matej Kovar out on loan here. Now John Sheridan, they've gone out on loan to Swindon. Now they've had a bit of a time of it there. They've not really been getting as many games as perhaps they wanted. And now what's happening is Matej Kovar, get my words out here. Matej Kovar hasn't been getting as many games as he wanted, because you've got Joe Fryer there, who's already there at Swindon. So there's a sort of debate as to whether Matej Kovar is going to stay at the club or not, or whether he's going to get recalled. John Sheridan, the Swindon manager, he's come out and he said he's more or less made his mind up on the future goalkeeping pair, Joe Fryer and Matej Kovar. He was going to make a decision after the Wigan game. The Wigan game got postponed because of frost, so we'll have to wait and see whether Kovar comes back or not. I mean, again, he's a youngster. You want him to get game time. We've had sort of, not issues, but some of our loanees have gone out and they haven't been getting. Bibek Pudistani says, it's pronounced Matej Kovar. Thank you. Sorry about that. My butchering someone's name there. We've had a few loanees that have gone out and not got the sort of the game time that perhaps he should have done. I think there was issues with James Garner as well. There's a couple of question marks on what's going to happen with his future. So we'll have to see whether that's going to happen, what's going to happen with him. But he was going to have a decision made after the Wigan game. That's been postponed. So that's another one where we'll keep you posted. As I said earlier, David Pritt does all the loanee stuff, does all academy reviews for us. So we're going to get him in this week, and we'll have a chat with him, and he can give us an update on what's happening. Not just with Matej Kovar, obviously, but with others as well. John Sheridan there, the Swindon manager, remember him? He's the one that scored that goal against us in the League Cup final. Was it in 91? Yeah, when they beat us, Sheffield Wednesday. Never mind, anyway, I digress. Guys, get involved in the comments. I'm going to go into some of your comments now. Let us know who you'd like to see come to United in January. Are you excited about Amad Diallo? Are you excited about the potential of Moises Caicedo? Do you think we need to get rid of some of these players that we've got as well? There was a couple of comments asking about Phil Jones and Jesse Lingard, players like that. I'm not overly sort of concerned about players going out. I know that, you know, we do have to balance the books and get rid of some players and move them on. Get rid of, sounds a bit harsh, but move them on. But I think the main priority is getting a couple of signings in, or at least getting someone who can bolster the squad, because as we know, we're in a title race at the minute. We're in a title race, and it might be that one signing gets us closer to title number 21. 20 becomes 21 this year. Don't forget that. Someone's saying cheeky £20 million Canty bid. I'd love to see a goal at Canty at United. I know he's not having the best of time at Chelsea, but I just don't see it happening. You never know, though. Someone else is saying Upamecano and Ndidi. Adam Durnef says, yeah, two great signings there'll be. I love Wilfred Ndidi and I love Upamecano. Apparently, Ollie was interested in Upamecano. Didn't happen. Might have to go again for him in the summer, or go for him in the summer. I think he's got a buyout clause. Is it around 47 million quid? So maybe that can happen. A couple of people asking about the memberships. We have got a membership. We have got. We're running the sort of a giveaway, the 12 days of Paddock, which I think is still running. It's got a couple of days on it, has it, producer Cal? Yeah. I think it runs to the 6th. Basically, if you sign up for a membership, you get loads of little extra content, stuff like that, some behind the scenes vids, with, you know, some funny vids and a couple of other podcasts as well. Also, you'll be entered for a draw. Every day we do a giveaway, and on the final day of it, which I think is the 6th of January, you can join any time, 6th of January, we're giving away a PlayStation 5, so you'll be in the draw for that. And also, once that ends, we'll be renewing it. We'll be doing other giveaways as well, culminating in some decent sort of gifts or prizes or whatever. So do check that out if you can, because we appreciate all the support you get. You know, like as many of you know, a few of us got together, took over the channel, bought the channel in the summer, and all your support has been fantastic, and we appreciate that greatly. I'm going to wrap it up now. I'm just going to do a couple of comments before I go. A couple of people asking about Erling Haaland. Don't see it happening. Mino Raiola, as a couple of you point out, is the agent there. We know what happens with him. We'll have to wait and see. I think we missed our chance with Haaland. I think before he went to Dortmund was our chance there. But who knows? Also, someone else saying, Johnster187 says, Messi, free transfer, easy. I've got a horrible feeling he's going to go to City, mate. He's going to end up there at that mob. If he wants to go, then that's up to him. If he doesn't want to go to a big club, fair enough. Someone else saying Lamptey, the lad at Brighton, he's having a great season, and he's a good player. Possibly. I mean, let's face facts. There's going to be lots of rumours and links throughout the January transfer window, and again next summer. But we will keep you posted as well. Someone else saying, John McCosh saying Messi will go to PSG. He might do. I don't know. I think he might get reunited with Pep Guardiola. I'm going to wrap that up. If you're not doing already, hit like. If you're not doing, subscribe. And also check out the member section, like I said. We'll have loads of videos coming up throughout the week. We'll be looking ahead to a Manchester derby. We're playing City in a Carabao Cup semi-final first leg. We'll have all the lead up to that. We'll also have the Paddock Live as well with me and Joe. We'll have the fan cams from the game. We'll have the watch along for the game as well. We'll also have Howson's Brew, all that good stuff. So make sure you are subscribing. If you're not subscribing, hit subscribe. Also as well, just before we go, Ashan Alam, welcome to the Academy, mate. Thanks for your support. I've been Jay Motti. This has been Stretford Paddock Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.